What is good? This is Ahead of the Spread, Wager Talks live late show. Man, it's late already. I'm sleepy, Ski. Ahead of the Spread, where we check out the open numbers, notable line movements, and discuss key matchups and angles for the next day's NBA games. I'm Ronald Cabang, one and only Ski Prophet here with me today. Big Sunday in the football space, but NBA only one game. Did you bet on anything today? I actually didn't touch on anything at all, neither football or
What?
NBA. Yeah, neither one. I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't like it. I didn't like the angles.
I loved it. I cashed my Chiefs to win the AFC plus 145.
Love it.
Cashed Josh Allen over 9.5 carries at even money, and then cashed the Blazers plus 14. So very nice Sunday to end the week for me.
Nice Sunday. Yeah, no, I had family from the Philippines come in, so I was out and busy. I didn't have a full cap, and I was just like I didn't want to rush anything, so
I
stayed
feel you,
away,
man.
man. Stayed away. But we'll be ready for Super Bowl and the rest of the NBA slate. Obviously, 12 games tomorrow, man. Let's see if we can get through them all. Before we head over to those games, though, real quick, we do have at wagertalk.com a 7-day all access pass for $11 per day. That's over at wagertalk.com. If you want to go directly to myself or Ski, you can see those links down there scrolling on the bottom. WT.buzz / HP for Ski, and then RC for myself. All right, let me share my screen here and we'll get into odds logic where um, if you see in the description, there's a link to odds logic. It's a it's not free, sorry. It's a live odds page that's a little bit more advanced than the one that we were using, the free one over at Wager Talk. So if you like what you see and how things work on odds logic, check the link in the description. All right, first game up, we got Detroit and Cleveland. um, Cleveland minus 10 at open. The total opened up at 232 and a half. We're seeing some 10 and a halves towards Cleveland and steam up to the over. We're seeing up to 235 and even 235 and a half over at Pinnacle. If we look at the injuries, we'll go to Detroit first. Tobias Harris questionable and IB still out. If we go to Cleveland, Dean Wade out, downgraded to ruled out for both Levert and Okoro. So they're missing some guys there. From a situational aspect, in-season revenge, double-digit in-season revenge for the Pistons. A little bit of a fatigue spot here. Third game in 4 nights, fourth and six for the Cavs, but also they're looking to bounce back. They did lose to Houston outright here by 4 points. So, Ski, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I am looking at the total, the opener 232 and a half, seeing it as high as 235 and a half, mostly
Mhm.
234 and a halfs out there. I think I agree with that line movement on that. Cavs defense has been kind of lacking lately. Maybe, I mean, Mobley has been out too, and now he'll be back in the lineup. That probably, helps out the defense quite a bit. But just looking at the Cavaliers, like 5 of their last 7 games have had 240 plus points.
Mhm.
So that gets us over the number they're asking right now. And I think they're more than even though Detroit's defense has looked a little better lately, I think as long as the Cavs are focused and motivated, which they should be off 3 straight losses,
Yeah.
I think they can score and kind of name their number. So can Detroit keep up as well? Um, I would think so. So it would either I would lean towards the over 234 and a half.
Yeah, I'm looking at the last 10 games here. You can see pace of play, both teams upper half of the league as far as pace of play. And you can see that there, the defensive rating that you're mentioning, 28th in the league in the last 10 games. Obviously, you mentioned Mobley coming back. That should help a little bit. But if you look at some of the trends too, 7-3 to the over last 10 games for the Cavs. So definitely agree with you there. I'm only worried about the whole Mobley coming back just because that could affect the pace and the defense. But maybe the number was, obviously opened up a little bit too low because it steamed up. So I do agree with the which way the line is moving as well. All right, so game two here we got Lakers and Charlotte, Lakers and Hornets. We have Lakers opening up at -6 on the road here. Only one book has a 6.5 bet MGM, and the total 218.5 steamed up to 222. We also see some 222 and a halves uh, available as well. If we go to the injury report, let's go to Lakers first. Rui questionable and Christian Wood still out. If we go to the Hornets, quite a few guys here. So Brandon Miller out now for the season. Trey Mann out. Grant Williams out for the season as well. Questionable to play Mark Williams, and then ruled out Cody Martin. So they do have LaMelo on the court there. If we look at some of the situational stuff, first game of back-to-back, Lakers do have Philly on deck, and it's back-to-back road games too. So they did have to travel. Fatigue spot here on the Hornets side as well. Third game in 4 nights, fourth and sixth. Also a letdown spot. Obviously, they were just letdown spot. They were slight road home dogs, and they got the outright win the other day. Skee, what are your thoughts on this game here?
Hornets, they have been playing a lot lately. I look at this Hornets team and I feel like when LaMelo's in, you're gonna get pace. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
play a lot better. I feel like they've been covering when he's in, and more of an over team. But if he's out, it's kind of the opposite. So he's expected to be in there. But I look at the Lakers like they could kind of flip right now. Rui might not play. He's game time decision, and they did just get Vando back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Vando and DFS together, especially if they, start to put them, uh, like start one of them or whatever the case may be. Like that's a lot of defense you're adding to this team
Uh-huh.
and into this lineup. So I don't know. I feel like even though Lamelo's in, like I
That
don't
team
trust
total.
I don't trust the pace the Lakers been playing at, and I think the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers are more of a defensive team. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm against the movement towards the over.
I agree. So if you look at the last 10 games, you look at the Lakers dead last in pace, right? Obviously not, the Hornets, they are missing some offense with Brendan Miller, right? That the whole news of him, out for the season. LaMelo coming back does help. But what you mentioned with the Lakers defense, if you look at the last few games, 108 to Warriors, 96 to Boston, 88 to Washington. They obviously they gave up 116 to the Clippers, but they continue to play solid defense a couple games prior to that, but they do seem like they're clicking on the defensive side of the ball. Would you actually look at a team total under on the Hornet side specifically?
Well, yeah, you can get what 107 and a half, maybe even a 108 and a half, depending where you shop. I know a lot of shops are not up for that team total just yet,
Yeah,
but
not
I
yet.
mean, it makes sense. Looking back at what you said there, Golden State to that 108,
Mm-hmm.
Boston down, Washington down. I mean, I could see them holding Charlotte down here tonight as well. So, or tomorrow night rather. So, yeah, I'll put that
Mm-hmm.
on my short list. I would much rather prefer because I really don't want to trust the Hornets defense. Like,
Yeah.
even though they have been better, but look, let's look at the Hornets really quick. They
Yeah.
played Portland. They played a Dallas team who's been a little banged up. They did hold the
Mhm.
Pelicans. I'm not sure, bro. It's either under or team total under.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one I would pick.
Yeah, that one's tough. That one is tough. I would still probably lean towards that Hornets team total under. All right, let's move on to the next game here. We got the Magic and the Heat. Magic open up at -1. This one's kind of odd right now. So you can see -1 over at Circa and Pinnacle, but we do have the Heat actually favored at a couple books. -1.5 over at BetMGM. You got -1 at Bet Online. So this one's all over the place, depending on what you want, whose team you are looking to back. You're gonna need to line shop there. From a total perspective, a low number, 207.5 at open. You see 208 over at Pinnacle, but majority 207 and a halves. But the sharp book over at Pinnacle, 208. So kind of moving towards the over. If we look at injuries, we'll go to Miami. Butler is available to play on Monday. So I know he did his suspension. And if we go to the Magic side, Gary Harris downgraded to ruled out. You got Suggs questionable. Goga is questionable. It would be nice to have him on the court. Both of those guys on the court. So they're slowly getting healthy, Ski. If we look at it from a situational note, nothing but in-season revenge here for the Magic. Um, would you look towards that Magic way? I know they struggled in that first game with when Wagner came back, but they clicked. They started to click against Detroit. Maybe they're moving in the right direction now. They get healthy.
I do think they can go on a run sometime in the near future. I'm just not sure I want to bet on it to start right now.
Hmm.
So I don't feel very strongly about this game. If I had to, gun ahead, I would pick Orlando, but not much else for me to say.
Yeah, I think I want a couple games in with the roster fully healthy to
Mm.
get their mojo going and then start to back them. So um, I would lean towards the Magic as well. I know Heat's still dealing with a whole bunch of locker room issues and stuff like that, but yeah, I just don't know. I don't think I'll be able to back Miami for a while. So yeah, I would lean Magic as well. Let's go to the Kings and the Nets here. -10 on the road here for opening. Um, for the Kings, do you see some 10.5s on the board as well? The total 223 at open down to 221.5 across the board. Uh, must be injuries. Let's go to Sacramento first. Nobody there. So let's go to the Nets. Cam Johnson ruled out, questionable for Simmons, Cam Thomas, Watford, and Bogdanovich still out. All right, so from a situational notes, we got in-season revenge for the Kings, fourth game in 6 nights there for the Kings as well. So somewhat of a fatigue spot. They've been on the road, and Brooklyn. This is their last home game before they go on the road against Charlotte in a couple of days. Ski, what are your thoughts here?
Brooklyn's still missing a lot of guys. They will have D'Angelo Russell to help
Mm-hmm.
out, but I just don't like this Nets team when they're not when they don't have most of their main guys. I'm looking at those baller systems, and those
Yeah.
things are making sense to me. Um, they lost to this team already. I want to say they're off of a loss. Yeah, they're off of a blowout loss, so
Mm-hmm.
they should really be ready to come and play in this game. Yes, it's fourth game in 6 nights, but they had a day's rest before this game and the previous game. I think they're more than rested enough to beat up on this Nets team. Like I don't feel the Nets have enough offense to keep up with what Sacramento can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be laying the points with Sacramento. I think they're big favorites on the road for a reason.
Yeah, I'm looking at them as double-digit favorites. This is the first time on the road that they're a double-digit favorite, but on the season, 4-1 straight up, 4-1 ATS. Looks like they play some solid defense in this situation, keeping their opponents under their team total for the most part. Just one here that went over by a bucket, and that was actually the Nets. And the Nets actually covered that one. But this, like I said, this was at home. They're on the road as double-digit favorites, so the line moved kind of towards their direction. Um, yeah, I don't know if I could back the Nets either until you see like Cam Thomas. I don't know if I mentioned. I think it was the Nets. So if you look at the Nets with and without Cam Thomas,
Yeah, I remember
their,
that. They weren't
yeah, their
covering.
their ATS numbers is just completely opposites. So when he's not on the court, 9-18. When he's on the court, 14-4, right? 14 4
Mhm.
and 1 ATS. So you just can't back the Nets when he's not on the court. So I would look towards the other way. All right, so we have the Grizzlies and the Knicks. Knicks open up at -4. We're seeing some 3.5s across the board right now. Total open up at 240, and this has been moving up. 241 here, 242 and a halves is the highest that I see. If we look at injuries, we'll go to Memphis first. Aldama is questionable. Williams, Smart, and Jackson still out. And if we go to the Knicks here, Hart is questionable. Mitchell Robinson unlikely to play. From a situational aspect, fatigue spot here for the Grizzlies. Third game in 4 nights, fourth and sixth. Um, sandwich road game between home games here for them. So there's a travel. The Knicks have been at home. What are your thoughts on this one here? This is sort of a key matchup, right? Two top tier teams in the league.
I think it's both teams. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Um, Grizzlies have won, I believe, 6 in a row. Um, and then seeing them come in this game as an underdog is what really stands out to me. I know the
Mm,
Knicks have had a few good wins in a row. What 3 wins in a row? I guess it's what you're saying. That's why the Knicks are favored, right? The fatigue spot for the Grizzlies.
mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. When I see that, it makes me want to try to find reasons to back the Knicks. So we have the fatigue spot. I guess I need to do a little bit more digging on this one. I want to try to find reasons or ways to get there with New York.
With New York, got you. Yeah. Um, looking at like the defensive, the defensive numbers for both of these teams. Obviously, the Grizzlies playing a little bit more defense, or more efficient defense. The Knicks only 23rd in the league in defensive rating last 10 games. Just looking at some of the teams that they played too. Um, it's kind of interesting. They gave up big numbers. They gave up big numbers against Detroit. Then they gave up big numbers here, but they limited the Hawks. So it seems like they kind of struggle to limit the better teams. Um, it almost seems like they got to pace up or whatever. Like so Minnesota here, Atlanta struggles, Brooklyn struggles. Sac is pretty decent. They put up a bunch of points, so I feel like their offense kind of picks up against their opponents. Um, and I think that the over actually might be a good one. I know it's kind of moving in that direction, a high total, but might be high for a reason. So seems like they get up and over against tougher opponents. So I would lean that direction for the total. All right, so we got Pelicans and the Raptors. Open up at -2 for the Raptors at home. We're seeing 1.5s at circa -1 for the Pelicans at Pinnacle. So this is kind of all over the place. Um, so depending on what team you want, you gotta line shop there. If you look at injuries, we'll go to New Orleans first. DeJounte Murray questionable. Jones and Ingram out. All right. So if we go to Toronto. Pirtle questionable, quickly still out. Olenek is questionable, and so is Agbaji. All right, so if we go to situational notes, letdown spot here for the Raptors. They did beat Atlanta 6-point dogs. And then the Pelican side, third game in 4 nights, but they do have the double-digit in-season revenge angle. Also, bounce back spot, they did lose to Charlotte as slight favorites. Skee, what are your thoughts here on these two teams?
Yeah, pretty interesting or crazy to see Toronto as the favorite. They have been playing well though. They've covered or won 4 of the last 5 at least.
Yeah,
Um, the Pelicans, they were looking good. They had got healthy and won what I think 3 or 4 in a row. Now they've
yeah,
lost back-to-back games. Um, I'll say, I think with the more of the fatigue for the Pelicans, the Raptors being at home, the Raptors being a team playing better defense lately, I would lean towards the Raptors. Um, I'm curious though what their team total is in this game, just because I'm looking at these Pelicans games. They haven't been playing much defense. Gave a 123 to Charlotte,
uh,
139 to Memphis, 119, 123. Like maybe team total is a look for the Raptors in this game.
yeah. I'm looking at the last 10 games. Opponents against the Pelicans 7-3 to their team total over. So this definitely does look like they're giving up the points. 26 in defensive rating, giving up 119.1 per game. So I think it obviously if the Pelicans control the pace, they'll probably go over. What was that line? The total again? So it's at 228 and that. Man,
116 and a half is the team total. I know that.
these numbers they just jump so quickly. So open at 228 and a half. We're kind of looking towards the over, and that's already steamed up to 232.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that Dejounte, his status could move the total a little bit if he's eventually out or confirmed in?
Well, Yeah, I'm honestly just not sure which way. So this is probably one I'm gonna hold off on.
All right, that was a tough one. All right, let's move on to the next game here. So we got Houston and Boston. Boston minus 6.5 at open. At home, the total 221.5. That one's the only one that has moved. So 6.5 is across the board. 222, so a half point up at most books here. All right, so if we look at the injuries, we'll go to Houston. Jabari Smith still out. And if we go to Boston, nothing on the injury report there. So clean injury report. Situational notes: fourth game in 6 nights for the Celtics. Letdown spot here for the Rockets. They did beat Cleveland as 4.5 point dogs. Double digit in season revenge. So Celtics had got the last one by a good margin here. Man, they went under by a lot, 26 points in that game earlier this year. What are your thoughts here, Skee?
Um, this one is a little bit tough. I do see though, Horford and Derek White are both game time decision for this game.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I would kind of really want to know the status of those guys. I want to say Boston is more focused. Like they did win their last game after a loss. Like when they lose, I just kind of feel like the next few games you're going to get really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have numbers to back it. It's just how I feel about the team. For the Rockets, if
Mm-hmm.
anything, I do trust them defensively. Celtics have not been playing at a fast pace. I would think maybe under. Um, yeah, under. Otherwise, just wait for the injury report and make make plays or make decisions after that.
Man, all right. So I always try, when you say some stuff, I always try to look to see what angles we could look at to back it, right? So, real quick, just looking at the Celtics, this is their first game home off a road trip, right? So, I looked at it when they traveled from a road game to a home game. So they're 5-5 straight up, 3-7 ATS. But what I did was look at it if there was a multiple game road trip. So at least 2 games on the road, and then they come home. So when they travel multiple times and then come home, the first game home, they're 5-0 to their team total under. So when you say the Rockets defense and focusing in on that, it could be a spot there where whether they cover or not, the Celtics just struggle offensively. It just seems like that's what happens when they in the first game they come home. Um, I mean, that could be a way to back this game because there's instances where the Celtics stay under their team total and they still cover, right? I mean, that could be uh, the angle that we take here. What are your thoughts on that team total under on the Celtics side?
I'm just not sure that I want to leave out Boston's defense. So
Mm,
I, I do think it's an under game. So I don't want to talk you off.
no, I get you. All right, so I would probably lean towards that Celtics team total under. That would probably be the way I go here. All right, so we got 5 games left. All right, Denver, so much. Denver and Chicago. All
Oh
right,
man.
open up at -7.5 on the road here. Still some 7.5s available, but we do see 8s total. Man, these totals are high, man. 244 at open, 246. We're seeing for the most part 246 and a halves up there too. If we look at injuries, we'll go to Denver first. All right, Conchar, how's that how you say it? Conchar, and then Chicago, Kobe White and Torrey Craig style. All right, so situational notes in this game, both in the bounce back situation here. Chicago lost to Philly, and Denver lost to Minnesota. Um, Denver has been on the road the last couple of, or second game on the road. They do have New York on deck, and then Chicago has been at home, but they traveled to Boston up next. What are your thoughts here, Ski?
I don't really trust either team defensively. Both teams have been kind of up and down throughout the season as far as the pace, but playing each
Mm-hmm.
other, it could turn into a track meet. And I know Bulls offense hasn't been the best lately, but versus Nuggets defense, I think both teams can score here. So I know it's high,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it could be a situation where it's high for a reason.
Gotcha. So Nuggets. Yeah, they gave up a ton of points here. So Minnesota 133, Sac 123. Philly struggled there. But if they're not giving up points, they're scoring a bunch of points. Um, and that over, huh? So 244 and a half. Why are they all so high? Um, that's crazy. I would probably lean in that direction, the 244. Sorry, 246 to the over. Probably wouldn't bet it though. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we got four more here. Atlanta and Minnesota. Minnesota opened up at -7 at home here, and we're seeing tens, and we even see a 10.5 at BetMGM. Total 224. This is coming down to 219.5, 220. Um, Still see a 220.5 at Bet Online. So if you like the under, you can go there. Let's go to Atlanta first. Oh, Trae Young downgraded to ruled out. Zachary here questionable. DeAndre Hunter questionable. Jalen Johnson is out. Dang, that's why they moved it. Okay, so we go to Minnesota. DiVincenzo is still out. All right, so situational notes coming off a bounce back situation. Sorry, this is a bounce back situation coming off a loss as a favorite. Fourth game in 6 nights, a letdown spot here on the Wolves side. Coming off that dominant win over the Nuggets, double digit in season revenge for them though. Atlanta did take the earlier matchup this season by 16 points. Sorry, 13 points. Skee, what are your thoughts here? I know Atlanta's kind of been struggling, haven't they?
No Trey Young, no way for me. They have covered 2 out of 3 without him and gone over surprisingly, but
Hmm.
I just don't really want to trust it. Um, Minnesota double digits. I don't view them as that kind of team right now either, though. So this turned into a really tough game. Maybe if anything, I agree with the market moving it down. You have missed about 4.5 points on that under though. So
Yeah.
this is when I probably think there's no rush to bet right now, but I do think there's less points in that game.
Yeah, it's always tough when you miss that big number, right? Or you miss the number by a huge margin. It kind of makes you shy away from betting it in general. Um, yeah, I'll probably lean towards the under and towards the Minnesota side, but probably won't be touching it.
Man,
All right, Washington and Dallas. Water breaks. I already took mine.
I need some
Washington.
caffeine. Wake me up.
All right, so we got Washington and Dallas. Dallas -11.5. We're seeing some -12s. Oh, sorry, mostly -12s, but still -11.5 at BetMGM. Total 232 coming down to 231.5. You even see a 230.5 over at FanDuel. All right, so if we look at injuries, we'll go to Washington first. Brogdon ruled out again. Bagley and Bay out. And then if we go to Dallas, all right, Cleaver out. Powell questionable. Exum, Lively, and Doncic out. All right, so from a situational note, double digit in season revenge for the Wizards. Fourth game in 6 nights for the Mavs. No look ahead at all for Dallas either. Ski, what are your thoughts here?
Don't waste your time on this game. You got what, 12 games on the slate? This is absolutely one I will spend
Uh,
less than 5 minutes thinking about playing.
yeah, BD already got it back with
Yeah,
it.
he knows. If there's ever a backwood on the card, it's this game.
All right, so we got two more games, Ski. Milwaukee and Utah. Milwaukee opened up at -9. Still seeing some -9s, but also 8.5s on the board. Total 233.5 up to 236. 236.5 is the highest that I'm seeing. From injury aspects, we'll go to Milwaukee first. All right, Portis is ruled out. Middleton is questionable. Green is questionable. If we go to Utah, Kessler, Clarkson, and Collins questionable. All right, so if we go situational notes, first game of back-to-back for the Bucks. Portland on deck. So they are here on the West Coast. This is their second game on the West Coast here. Typically, that's where we see the jet lag happen. And then on the Jazz side, first game of back to back, they have Golden State on deck. They're coming from Memphis, and then also double digit in season revenge. Ski, what are your thoughts here?
I think that you know the Milwaukee Bucks are coming off of a tough spot they had to play in. They had one game postponed because of the
Hmm.
weather. Got stuck in New Orleans. Then they traveled back home. Landed like what 2 hours before tip. Then they went and had to travel to LA to play the Clippers. Clippers got the W there, and
Hmm.
now they go right just next door to Utah. My thing is Milwaukee's been playing really good basketball lately. Before the last game, they won I think 5 games in a row by double digits, but they were
Hmm.
all at home. Can we get that same production, energy, effort here on the road after all this travel stuff that's been going on for them? That's what
Yeah.
worries me for Milwaukee. For Utah, hearing that injury report, you could be missing some key guys there. Or in Utah, kind of has been losing by margin lately. Last 3 or 4 games, lost by 9 plus. So I think it's tough. It is very tough.
Hmm.
If I have to play, maybe I'll go. You know what? Now that I'm talking it out, Utah at home, I don't feel like a lot of their games are reaching 236. Like this is me speaking off the top of my head, but
Yeah, we could look.
I I, I feel like it's lower scoring. So the market is pushing it up. Like I said, you could be missing. I mean, hopefully Kessler plays if we play or like an under. But
Hmm.
if Clarkson was to miss, that would help out. You also have a couple guys questionable on Milwaukee side. I think either under or Jazz, just because of all the stuff that's been going on for the Bucks lately.
Yeah, I do agree with the Jazz side. I think one way to probably pivot would be a Jazz team total over. But if you look at what you were mentioning earlier with the Jazz at home, earlier on in the season, they were a strong under team at home. But in um, the last few weeks here, they have gone over for the most part. So they kind of
Mhm.
flipped. But at the same time, I think the numbers are a lot lower. So you're seeing like 222 and a half, 212 and a half,
Right.
222. Um,
230
and
is kind of what
yeah.
I'm thinking of. I think home games in Utah don't reach 230.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, 230. Yeah, man, I would be tough. I would think that the Jazz would probably be the right side though. Like I said, I usually like that spot where they travel cross country and then the second game in travel is typically where we see that big lag. But they did struggle against the Clippers too, so I don't know. This one is pretty tough here. But yeah, lean Jazz. Our last game, Ski. We got the Clippers. Got the Clippers and the Suns. Um, Suns open up at -1. We're seeing a flip here. Clippers are now favored -1, even a -1.5 at BetMGM. We have the total opening up at 222 and a half, up to 223, even 223 and a half. All right, so if we look at injuries, Clippers, Clippers, we got Chris Dunn questionable and PJ Tucker continues to be. I don't even know if he's gonna play anymore. All right, so we go Phoenix. Ryan Dunn is ruled out. Situational notes: in-season revenge for the Clippers. Fourth game in 6 nights. I mean, Clippers, man, they kind of been balling. I feel like they're getting healthier. Obviously, they're not in a huge win streak, but I just feel like overall they're playing a lot better on both sides of the ball here. What are your thoughts on this one, Ski?
Um, I forgot to mention this too. It is Utah first game home after a 4 game road trip last game, and I'm looking at this one. Phoenix first game home after a 5 game road trip. That is
Mm,
usually a little bit more of a flat spot. Um, Clippers, I feel like yeah they've been playing good, but all their games have been at home. Now they're finally hitting the road, so
yeah,
I'm just a little bit unsure what I'm gonna get here. Um, if I have to play, I feel like right now the Clippers, it's tough to admit, but I think this Clippers team is one of the better teams that I've seen in recent years.
the way that
And I
they've been
know,
playing, yeah.
Yeah, and if they're healthy right now, I don't really want to go against them. But Suns being at home here, I guess I'll just lean with them. But as you can tell, it's not strong.
Yeah, I'm looking at this last 10 games on the defensive side of the ball. Clippers first in defensive rating, first in points per game allowed. Um, Man, and I know the Suns they've kind of been struggling offensively. Only 108 against Brooklyn. They scored 92 against Cleveland. It's just so inconsistent as far as their offense goes. And if they play a tough defensive team or a slow paced team, I just can see them really struggling. So I think if I was to bet anything here, it would probably be like a Suns team total under type of angle. But I'll probably have to do a little bit more research here. I don't, man. There's just way too many games to really key in on keying on angles here. But we did try to go through all of them. As far as like situational notes, the line movement, and all that stuff. So hopefully you guys got something from today's show. Ski, I know we probably neither of us probably. I don't think that we bet anything yet for tomorrow. So do you want to leave some leans for the viewers here?
Yeah, I right now on my paper, at least I have Detroit, Cleveland over, either
Mhm.
that or look at Cade, um, Lakers and Charlotte under or Charlotte team total under. I do
Mhm.
think Sacramento -10. I think that can get there. Um, have more thinking to do on that New York game. I'll say this too: if Horford doesn't play tomorrow, I'll very likely be betting some props in Boston. So other
Mhm.
than the ones I mentioned, kind of I guess just wait and see mode.
Gotcha. All right. So other than the ones that you mentioned, I do like the Lakers side. I think they could get the cover there. If we look at Houston and Boston, I think that one thing that you mentioned is like after a loss, they kind of pick it up for a few games. I think Boston gets some momentum and gets the cover there at the 6.5. A couple other things. I think there was an over that I was looking at. Memphis and New York. I think that the angle that I was going there was the over, or maybe like a Memphis team total over type of way. I think one more was the Suns team total under. I think that's one of the other ones that I was looking at. I think that would be it. I'm definitely not going to touch Atlanta, Minnesota. Probably won't touch Washington and Dallas. But probably we'll dive into a lot more of the other games tomorrow morning. All right. With that said, that's the end of the show, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you like, what we do on the show here. Obviously, we try to go through every game on the slate. You know, with the line movement, open lines, talk about all the angles that we can to help you guys get ready for also handicapping on your own, right? Ski, any last words before we cut out?
Just appreciate everybody in the chat. B Daddy, B Man, AJ in there. Yeah, I need some sleep, AJ. I'm gonna try to give me at least a couple hours. Mark A, microwave. All the night owls in the chat staying up late to watch the show. We appreciate you guys.
100%. All right. With that said, guys, that is the end of the show. Make sure you guys head over to wagertalk.com. Check out the picks and packages over there. And you saw down there on the banner scrolling, WT.buzz /HP for Ski and RC for
Oh,
myself. Yeah, what up?
my bad. I do want to mention, I hardly do the promo thing, so I forget sometimes. But um, college basketball, I've been doing really good. I'm number one, and I do have a 5% for tomorrow. My top 3% players are higher in college basketball. I've hit 10 out of 11, and I'm number one right now in college basketball. So if you want to be involved, you can check it out. And also, they did a special thing. So if you get my college basketball for 30 days, you get NBA as well for 30 days for just a dollar per day. So it comes out to like $7 total per day for both sports. If that's something you're interested in, it's on my page.
Yeah, this is like prime time too for college basketball. A lot of the key games are coming up. So definitely ride with Ski there. All right, guys. Whether you fade or follow, it is on you to make that call. Good luck with all your actions. Till next time. Peace.